Well, you're getting ready to buy that new home, but it doesn't have everything you want. Maybe you want to add a pool. Maybe you want to build on a nice deck or an outdoor patio. Whatever the case may be, it's not something you can actually work into your loan. We'll answer that question next here on the Smart Mortgage Show. Welcome in. Glad to have you once again on the show. We appreciate you being here. I'm Ben George. He is Bill Litton, Regional President at Cross Country Mortgage. You can find him there in Chaddsford, Pennsylvania, but online at smartmortgageshow.com. Bill, what's happening today?
Well, same story here, different day, just helping people buy houses. And, we've had some renovation loan scenarios come about recently because there's not a lot of inventory. So people are trying to get creative on, what if this house has 75% of what I want. If I use a renovation loan, I can add the other 25% of what I want to really make it what I want, since out in the marketplace, it's just not available right now.
Yeah. Well, that's what I want to talk to you today about, is the renovation loans and just kind of what the options are, because I know I've been in this situation before. When I look around at homes, I'm not quite ready to buy yet, but I would eventually like to move out of our existing home into a new one. But I know you're rarely going to find something that has everything you want. And oftentimes people have an idea of something they want to add on and would like to kind of do so right away. It's not something they want to wait on. So I want to talk about the option of working this into the loan. And that's really the question today is it possible to get a loan that allows you to finance something like a pool or a big renovation project into your home loan?
Yeah, so the answer is yes. You can definitely do that. And the three big questions that we always start with are, what is the acquisition price of the home? So just for simple, we buy a home for $100,000. What is the cost of the renovation? So let's just say that's $100,000 too. So we bought for $100,000. Now we're going to put $100,000 in. And then the big question at the end is, what is the after renovation value, the ARV? So in the scenario that we look for is, we bought it for $100,000, we put in $100,000, now it's worth $250,000. Right? So you've actually built some equity. You've found a home that was distressed. It needed work in some areas that would prop up the value, get it back to a market value that, based on the comps in the area, shows that you've earned some equity. And that's important because these loans are a little more expensive. So the rates are a little higher, the fees are a little higher. So if you buy a house for $100,000 and you put $100,000 into it and it's only worth $210,000 at the end, it's not the end of the world. And I wouldn't say it's terrible, but financially, you're not getting the benefit of any equity out of it. And then the cost of the loan is a little more expensive. Now, there are some people, Ben, where it's just, hey, this loan is going to make the house exactly the way I want it. And there's definitely value in that. And if you're going to be there a long time, I'd say buying a house is like buying one share of good stock. As long as you hold it for a while, it should go up in value and you should be okay. Not great for a short-term situation. The scenario that we're all cautious of is, and believe me, I've seen it, is you acquire the home for $100,000, you need $100,000 for renovations, and after all the work's done, it's only worth $150,000. Right? That's a problem. Now, the bank won't even lend on that. Right? So it'll never go to settlement. But we want to make sure that we're not wasting a lot of time, energy, and effort, because these loans require a whole lot more heavy lifting than your standard loan. So and a lot more upfront costs. So are we going to go through all the cost, all the time, energy, and effort just to find out that this thing's upside down? That we want to stay away from.
All right, got a couple questions then. So to find that ARV, how do you go about that? Is it as simple as bringing out an appraiser and having them look at the property? And if that's the case, could you bring out multiple to try to get that highest number?
Well, although some people would like to bring out multiple appraisers in certain situations, that's definitely frowned upon. We can't do that. So, but to your point, we we would definitely, so it's two pronged, right? An appraisal for a home like this is going to cost $600 to $800. Before we spend the $600 to $800, you should be working with a real estate agent who has good knowledge of the area, understands the improvements, and says, I'm not an appraiser, so I can't be 100% sure, but I know the area, I know my business. I'm pretty confident that once you put $100,000 into this house, it's going to be worth $245,000, right? So now we've got a knowledgeable professional who's saying, we think it's going to be okay. At that point, we would hire an appraiser because we're going to need the value from a licensed appraiser. And that appraiser is going to need to be supplied with the plans, the specs, the materials, information from the contractor of, well, what exactly are the improvements? They're going to appraise the property subject to those improvements.
So then you have to go through the process of actually having a contractor in place and the plans drawn up do they have to be pretty detailed?
So it depends on the loan. It depends on the size of the budget and how much money we're taking out for renovations. In some cases, it needs to be very detailed, especially if you're moving load-bearing walls and there are structural changes and architects need to be involved and engineers. On scenarios where it's more just paint and carpet and aesthetics and, we're going to do a new kitchen, but we're not moving any walls, it can be a little bit less detailed. In that case, you definitely need a materials list. They need to know the cost of the materials. They need to know the quality and the value of the materials, as well as the contractor's cost for labor. So to my point, we don't want to go through that's a lot of time, energy, effort, and we don't want to do that for the house that's not either going to work from an underwriting standpoint at all. It just won't get approved, or we don't want to do that for something that, may not meet the returns that you're looking for. It just might not. They always say, you don't want to be the prettiest girl on the block. You don't want to have the nicest house because everybody, you're the top of the market. Now, there's definitely some debate over that subject, but a lot of people say you could over improve the home and never get the money out.
Yeah. Well, what's that threshold then to get it to settlement? I know if it's a number like you pointed out earlier where the value is going to be 150 and you're getting a loan for 200, it's not going to. But I assume that it has to be higher than the loan amount, right? But how much higher does it need to be for it to be able to get to closing?
So it depends on the loan type, right? So if you're an FHA loan, technically with FHA loans, you need 3.5% down, right? So as long as you're maintaining that loan to value ratio, then you're okay. Conventional loans, typically it's 5% down. So as long as you're maintaining that loan to value ratio, you're okay. It doesn't have to be dramatically higher to pass the underwriting smell test. I have a secondary test that says if we're going to do all this work, put this time, energy, and effort in, and the cost of the loan that's more expensive, I think there should be a little bit more equity gained.
Makes sense. Well, you mentioned the added maybe mortgage rates. What specifically would that entail? I mean, how much more if the rates now are sitting at 7 and I look to do this and add, a pool to my home and I want to take the money out on that, how much of a difference could it be?
So it depends on the loan type again, but you're probably about 0.5% higher in interest rate. And then you're also going to be, cost-wise, depending on how many other factors or how many other players there are involved, you could be higher by $3,000 to $10,000 in just sheer costs between engineers, architects, contractor bids. You may need to hire for an FHA loan. There's an FHA 203K consultant. Sometimes the FHA appraiser and the consultant are the same person, but there's another fee for the consulting aspect. There are title bring downs that have to happen and inspections after each draw. So it can be a lot more costly than your standard loan.
All right. So good to know it is possible. It can be done. I guess the best starting point then, Bill, based on kind of what I understand, is talk to your realtor first as you're going through the process, and then probably also take you up on a free 15-minute mortgage loan consultation. Talk about your plans, what you hope to do, and get a better idea if it's feasible before taking on any of the costs of trying to chase it down.
Exactly. Yep. Let's do a little bit of work up front to see if it makes sense. If it does, great, we proceed. And a lot of times it doesn't. So it's always good to have a clear picture up front.
Yeah, let's know now before we spend any extra money to get it done. All right. Well, if you have questions, you want to follow up, you want to maybe see if it works for you, if you have an idea for a home and maybe an add-on or renovation, whatever that is, 484-352-4151 or online at smartmortgageshow.com. Thanks for watching or listening wherever you are. We'll talk to you again soon. This program is for informational purposes only. Please consult a qualified professional before taking any action. Bill Litton is a loan advisor and regional president with Cross Country Mortgage, NMLS number 147060.